Leopard 2 main battle tanks form the backbone of Germany's armored forces and represent one of the most widely fielded Western tanks in service today. The Leopard 2 family includes multiple variants, with the A7 and A7V models being the most advanced currently deployed. The baseline Leopard 2 A7 carries a 120mm smoothbore gun, composite armor packages, and a 1,500 horsepower diesel engine, allowing speeds over 70 km per hour on roads. The A7V variant adds modular armor, improved mine protection, and enhanced fire control systems designed for both high-intensity conflict and asymmetric threats. In a conventional engagement, Leopard 2 tanks would be employed in combined arms formations with mechanized infantry and artillery support. Their primary role is direct fire against armored and fortified targets at ranges exceeding 3,000 meters under both day and night conditions. The digital fire control system allows engagement of moving targets while the tank itself is moving, a capability that defines modern armored warfare. Leopard 2 units can operate in both defensive positions and breakthrough operations, with doctrine emphasizing mobility and coordinated fire rather than static defense. Limitations include logistical demand. Each Leopard 2 consumes roughly 400 liters of fuel per 100 kilometers on mixed terrain, requiring constant resupply in sustained operations. Maintenance intervals are measured in hours of operation, not distance, and complex systems like the transmission and fire control require trained personnel and parts stockpiles. Germany's operational Leopard 2 fleet numbers around 300 tanks, with additional units in storage or undergoing modernization. This limits the number of heavy armored formations that can be fielded simultaneously. Puma infantry fighting vehicles provide protected mobility and direct fire support for mechanized infantry squads. Each Puma carries a crew of 3 and up to 6 dismounts, armed with a 30mm autocannon and provisions for anti-tank guided missiles. The vehicle incorporates modular armor, allowing protection levels to be adjusted based on threat, with the heaviest configuration exceeding 40 tons. Active protection systems can engage incoming projectiles, and the fire control system allows the commander and gunner to independently acquire and engage separate targets. Operationally, Puma vehicles are designed to move infantry into contact while suppressing enemy positions with the autocannon. The 30mm cannon can penetrate light armored vehicles and fortifications at ranges beyond 2,000 meters. Once dismounts exit the vehicle, the Puma can provide overwatch and fire support while remaining mobile enough to reposition as the tactical situation changes. The vehicle's digital systems link with dismounted infantry radios and higher command networks, allowing real-time updates on enemy positions and movement. Constraints on the Puma include cost and complexity. Germany has ordered approximately 350 units, but deliveries have been slow and technical issues have delayed full operational capability for some battalions. The vehicle's weight in its fully protected configuration limits air transportability and can stress infrastructure like bridges in forward deployment areas. Each Puma requires significant maintenance, and the advanced electronics demand specialized training for crews and maintenance personnel. These factors limit the number of fully operational Puma companies available at any given time. Eurofighter Typhoon multi-role fighters represent Germany's primary air combat and strike capability. The Luftwaffe operates roughly 140 Typhoons in various tranches, with Tranche 3 and upgraded Tranche 2 aircraft forming the most capable subset. Each Typhoon is powered by 2 Eurojet EJ-200 engines, producing 60 kilonewtons of dry thrust and 90 kilonewtons with afterburner, enabling sustained supersonic flight and high maneuverability. The aircraft carries an internal 27mm Mauser cannon and 13 hardpoints for external weapons including AMRAAM and ASRAAM air-to-air missiles, precision-guided bombs, and standoff cruise missiles. Typhoons are tasked with air policing, air superiority, and precision strike missions across NATO's area of responsibility. In an air defense role, Typhoons would patrol designated airspace sectors, relying on onboard Captor radar to detect and track targets at ranges exceeding 150 kilometers. The aircraft can engage multiple targets simultaneously using beyond visual range missiles before closing for within visual range combat if necessary. In strike missions, Typhoons employ laser-guided bombs and GPS-guided munitions against ground targets, with targeting data provided by onboard sensors or external sources like reconnaissance aircraft. Gun limitations include weapons integration and availability. Germany's Typhoons are not yet fully certified for all NATO weapons, including certain air-to-ground munitions, which restricts mission flexibility. Pilot training hours and aircraft readiness rates have historically been below NATO benchmarks, though recent budget increases aim to address these gaps. Each Typhoon requires approximately 30 maintenance hours per flight hour, and spare parts availability has been a persistent issue. This reduces the number of aircraft that can be surged for sustained operations. Tactical rotorcraft provide air mobility and logistic support across theater. Germany operates CH-53G and CH-53G, a heavy-lift helicopters, each capable of carrying approximately 36 troops or an equivalent cargo load. The CH-53 has a maximum takeoff weight around 19,000 kilograms and a range of roughly 500 kilometers without refueling. NH-90 medium transport helicopters supplement the CH-53 fleet, offering roughly half the payload capacity but with more modern avionics and reduced crew requirements. Each NH-90 can carry up to 20 troops or external loads via cargo hook. In operations, CH-53 helicopters are used for troop insertion, casualty evacuation, and resupply missions in areas where ground transport is unavailable or too slow. They can operate from austere landing zones and deliver personnel or equipment directly to forward positions. NH-90 helicopters perform similar missions but are also used for special operations support and maritime tasks when configured with appropriate mission packages. Both platforms allow rapid movement of forces and supplies over terrain that would otherwise take hours or days to traverse by ground. Constraints on rotorcraft include fleet size and availability. Germany operates fewer than 70 CH-53 helicopters, many of which are undergoing service life extension programs or awaiting replacement. Readiness rates have been low, with only a fraction of the fleet operationally available at any given time. The NH-90 fleet, while newer, has faced its own technical and availability issues, limiting the number of helicopters ready for immediate tasking. This restricts the scale of air assault or air mobility operations that can be conducted simultaneously. Frigate classes form the core of Germany's naval surface combatants. The F-125 Baden-Württemberg class frigates are the newest, with 4 ships commissioned or nearing commissioning. Each displaces over 7,000 tons and carries a 127mm main gun, 2 RAM close-in weapon systems, and vertical launch cells for surface-to-air missiles. The design emphasizes endurance and presence operations, with accommodations for a larger crew rotation and modular mission spaces for containerized systems. The F-124 Saxon-class frigates, numbering 3 ships, are smaller air defense platforms carrying the APAR phased array radar and SM-2 surface-to-air missiles, optimized for fleet air defense within a task group. Frigates are employed for patrol, maritime security, and alliance operations, including NATO's standing naval groups. An F-125 frigate can conduct extended deployments without returning to port for resupply, using onboard helicopters for reconnaissance and small boat operations for boarding or inspection missions. F-124 frigates provide area air defense, using their radar and missile systems to protect other ships or coastal installations from aerial threats, including cruise missiles and aircraft. Both classes can conduct surface warfare using guns and missiles, though their primary missions emphasize air defense and presence rather than offensive surface action. Limitations include weapons load and operational focus. The F-125 class was designed for low-intensity missions and lacks the heavy anti-ship missiles or vertical launch capacity for land attack that defines more offensively oriented warships. The radar and sensor suites are capable but not cutting-edge compared to the latest Allied designs. Germany's entire frigate force numbers roughly 10 ships when including older classes, limiting the number of task groups that can be deployed or the geographical reach of naval operations. Maintenance cycles and crew availability further constrain how many ships are at sea simultaneously. Submarine fleet comprises Type 2-1-2. A. Air-independent propulsion boats designed for littoral and open ocean operations. Germany operates 6 Type 2-1-2A submarines, each displacing roughly 1,800 tons, submerged and armed with 8 533mm torpedo tubes. The boats use hydrogen fuel cells for submerged propulsion, allowing them to remain underwater for weeks without surfacing or snorkeling. Maximum diving depth exceeds 700 meters, and quiet operation makes detection difficult in cluttered coastal waters. Type 2-1-2. A submarines are tasked with intelligence gathering, anti-surface warfare, and anti-submarine warfare in contested littorals and choke points. A submarine on patrol can remain submerged in a designated area, monitoring surface and subsurface contacts while remaining undetected. Torpedoes can engage surface ships or other submarines at ranges exceeding 20 kilometers, and mines can be laid covertly in enemy ports or transit routes. The boats can also insert special operations forces via swimmer delivery or inflatable boats, though this is a secondary mission. Constraints include fleet size and operational availability. With only 6 boats, Germany can sustain at most 2 submarines on patrol simultaneously when accounting for maintenance, training, and crew rotation. Each boat requires dry dock maintenance every few years, and the small fleet provides no reserve capacity for surge operations. Weapons load is limited to what can be carried in the torpedo tubes and reload racks, typically a mix of heavyweight torpedoes and potentially mines. Extended patrols place significant strain on crews, and the silent nature of submarine operations means they can be isolated from real-time command updates for days at a time. IRIS TSLM and Patriot SAM batteries provide integrated air defense against aircraft, helicopters, cruise missiles, and ballistic missiles. Germany operates Patriot PAC 3 systems, with ranges extending to roughly 70 kilometers against aircraft and shorter ranges against ballistic threats. Each battery includes a multifunction radar, engagement control station, and multiple launchers carrying interceptor missiles. IRIS TSLM is a newer short to medium-range system with missiles derived from the air-to-air IRIS-T, effective against targets at ranges up to 40 kilometers and altitudes up to 20 kilometers. The system uses infrared seekers rather than radar guidance, allowing passive engagements and resistance to some forms of electronic jamming. Air defense batteries are positioned to protect critical infrastructure, military installations, and maneuver forces from aerial attack. In a defensive deployment, Patriot batteries would establish overlapping coverage zones, using their radars to detect incoming threats and launch interceptors on computed intercept trajectories. IRIS-T SLM batteries can fill gaps in the Patriot coverage or protect point targets like headquarters or logistics hubs. Both systems can be cued by external radars and integrated into NATO's air defense network, allowing coordinated engagements across multiple batteries and nations. Limitations include inventory and radar coverage. Germany's Patriot fleet is limited to a few dozen fire units, each capable of defending only a limited area. Interceptor missile stocks are finite, and each engagement consumes missiles that take time and money to replace. Patriot radars can be detected and targeted by anti-radiation weapons, requiring frequent repositioning to avoid counter-fire. IRIS TSLM is newer and fielded in smaller numbers, with production only now ramping up. Neither system is optimized against low-flying drones or very high-speed hypersonic threats, which can complicate engagement timelines. Mars 2 artillery rocket systems deliver massed indirect fire at ranges conventional tube artillery cannot reach. Mars 2 is the German designation for the M270 MLRS, firing either 227mm rockets or ATACMS tactical ballistic missiles depending on load. Standard rockets have ranges around 70 kilometers with cluster or unitary warheads, while ATACMS extends range to roughly 300 kilometers with a single large warhead. Each launcher carries a pod of 6 rockets or one ATACMS missile and can reload from resupply vehicles in minutes. Mars 2 units are employed to strike enemy artillery positions, troop concentrations, logistics nodes, and command posts beyond the range of direct fire systems. A battery can coordinate simultaneous launches, placing multiple rockets on target within seconds to saturate defenses and overwhelm countermeasures. The rockets are guided by GPS and inertial systems, providing accuracy sufficient to hit point targets or area targets depending on warhead type. ATACMS missiles are reserved for high-value or time-sensitive targets where range and warhead size justify the cost of the missile. Constraints include ammunition availability and reload logistics. Germany's Mars 2 fleet numbers fewer than 50 launchers, and each can fire only 12 rockets before requiring reload. Rocket and missile production rates limit how many can be expended in sustained operations, and resupply convoys carrying reloads are vulnerable to interdiction. The launchers themselves are large tracked vehicles requiring fuel, maintenance, and protection from counter-battery fire. Effective use requires accurate targeting data, usually from reconnaissance assets or forward observers, which must be in place and functioning. Tornado IDS reconnaissance and strike aircraft remain in service but are being phased out in favor of F-35 and Eurofighter upgrades. The Luftwaffe operates roughly 90 Tornado aircraft, divided between strike variants carrying conventional and nuclear-capable ordnance and reconnaissance variants equipped with sensor pods. Each Tornado is powered by 2 afterburning turbofan engines, capable of low-level supersonic flight and variable sweep wing geometry for optimized performance across different flight regimes. Strike variants carry Taurus standoff cruise missiles with ranges exceeding 500 kilometers, allowing attacks on hardened targets without penetrating heavily defended airspace. Tornado strike missions focus on precision attacks against high-value targets using standoff weapons or direct attack munitions. Low-level penetration tactics allow the aircraft to evade radar detection and surface-to-air missiles by using terrain masking, though this increases fuel consumption and limits time over target. Reconnaissance tornadoes use optical and infrared sensors to collect intelligence on enemy positions and activities, with data transmitted in near real-time to ground stations. The aircraft's ability to carry nuclear gravity bombs makes it part of NATO's nuclear sharing arrangement, though this mission is expected to transfer to F-35s once they enter German service. Limitations include age and declining fleet readiness. Tornado airframes have been in service for decades, requiring extensive maintenance to keep them operational. Attrition through accidents and part scarcity has reduced the fleet size, and only a fraction of remaining aircraft are mission-capable at any time. The aircraft lacks modern electronic warfare systems and stealth features, making it increasingly vulnerable to advanced air defense networks. Pilot training hours on the Tornado have been constrained by budget and airframe availability, reducing proficiency. The planned retirement of the fleet by the early 2030s means limited investment in upgrades, leaving existing capabilities frozen at current levels. TPZ Fuchs and Boxer wheeled armored vehicles provide protected mobility across a range of missions. The TPZ Fuchs is a 6-wheeled armored personnel carrier with variants for transport, reconnaissance, command, and NBC reconnaissance. Each vehicle can carry up to 10 personnel depending on configuration, with armor protection against small arms and shell fragments. The Boxer is a newer 8-wheeled modular platform with significantly heavier armor, capable of carrying mission modules for different roles including infantry transport, command post, ambulance, and engineer support. Boxer vehicles weigh up to 38 tons with the heaviest armor, and the drive module can swap mission modules in the field. Wheeled armored vehicles are used for rapid deployment and operations where tracks would be too slow or too damaging to infrastructure. Fuchs vehicles conduct patrols, reconnaissance, and specialized tasks like chemical detection in support of maneuver units. Boxer vehicles move infantry quickly over roads and can operate in urban or mixed terrain, providing protection against small arms, mines, and improvised explosive devices. The modular mission modules allow a single vehicle fleet to support multiple roles without requiring separate dedicated platforms. Constraints include protection versus mobility trade-offs. Wheeled vehicles cannot match the cross-country performance of tracked platforms in rough terrain or soft soil, limiting where they can operate effectively. The Fuchs is lighter and older, with armor sufficient only against small arms and fragments, not direct fire from autocannons or anti-tank weapons. The Boxer offers better protection, but at the cost of weight and complexity, and the module swap capability requires logistic support and time. Germany fields several hundred Fuchs vehicles and is expanding its Boxer fleet, but availability is limited by production rates and ongoing modernization programs. Unmanned aerial systems have expanded rapidly in recent years, filling intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance gaps. Germany operates several tactical drone types, including the KZDO and Aladin small unmanned systems for brigade and battalion-level reconnaissance. The KZDO has an endurance of several hours and carries electro-optical sensors for real-time video feeds, launched by catapult and recovered by parachute. Aladin is a hand-launched system with ranges under 10 kilometers, used for immediate tactical overwatch. Germany also leases Heron TP medium-altitude, long-endurance drones for extended reconnaissance and has procured smaller rotary-wing drones for specific missions. Tactical drones provide commanders with persistent surveillance over areas of interest, reducing the need to expose manned reconnaissance units to direct fire. A KZNO, or a similar system, can loiter over a suspected enemy position, transmitting video back to a ground control station where analysts identify targets or confirm enemy activity. This data feeds into targeting systems for artillery or airstrikes, shortening the sensor-to-shooter timeline. Smaller drones like Aladin give infantry units immediate situational awareness without waiting for higher-level intelligence assets. Constraints include limited payloads and vulnerability. Tactical drones carry only sensors, not weapons, requiring separate systems to act on the intelligence they provide. The drones themselves are vulnerable to electronic warfare, anti-aircraft fire, and adverse weather, with small systems like Aladin knocked offline by high winds or rain. Data links can be jammed or intercepted, compromising operational security. Germany's drone fleet is not large compared to other NATO members, and training for operators has lagged behind procurement, limiting how many systems can be employed effectively at once.